today's video, I'm gonna break down this social campaign video I shot for Adidas. So that was a short form vertical video for Adidas Originals highlighting their new summer campaign of sneakers. The video itself is actually a tie-up, and a tie-up in Japanese PR, Japanese agencies, is essentially a collaboration between a major brand and either like an agency or a news outlet or a fashion magazine. In this case, this was a tie-up between Adidas and Fashion Snap. So in today's video, I just wanted to break down this video piece by piece and kind of talk about how I ended up shooting it, how I edited it, and how it came to be. Before I head into actually analyzing the footage, let's talk about pre-production, kind of the gear that I decided to bring on this shoot. So to give you an idea of how the shoot played out, essentially we had one full day to shoot all sequences, all scenes of all 5 talent in 5 different locations. The time frame was pretty hectic. We started about 7 a.m. and we didn't finish till like 8 or 9 p.m. And the reason for this, the reason why you think possibly like such a short video could take such a long time, is that there are various factors when you go into specifically fashion and specifically working with talent. There's a lot of time that you need for setup in each location and also for hair and makeup and styling. When you have client on set, it's very important that they feel comfortable and assured and they like how the talent looks, how they're styled, and also that they can check the photos, the videos. This campaign was twofold. There was actually a photographer and a photography team. And then there was me, which I decided this time for this particular shoot to just go solo, just because I knew the time constraints. In each location, even though we had the whole day, and in each location we were about there for maybe 2 hours, 1.5 hours, I only really had about 15 minutes at each location to get everything that I needed. Even though everything was set up, it really was truly basically a run and gun shoot. Now in these type of high intensity, short time frame shoots, the key is to not spend too much time fiddling around with your gear and figuring out exactly what you need, how you need it shot, and just getting the shot once or twice at max. For this shoot in particular, I decided to keep everything super streamlined. I only brought with me the FX3 along with 2 lenses, the 10mm Laowa f2.8 autofocus lens, and the 24mm G Master 1.4 lens. I had some variable NDs, and the only other major piece of gear that I brought was my gimbal, the DJI RS3, and basically I wanted to minimize the amount of switching I had to do between lenses and blah, 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 blah. You just want to have your gear ready to go and know exactly what shots you wanted. I knew I wanted a bunch of wide shots, but I also wanted a couple more traditional focal lengths. So instead of a 35, I just went with a 24 to get my base shots. I did a basic pre-production for this shoot just in terms of letting the client know what I had in mind, but everything changed so much that I basically didn't even use this pre-production sheet that much on shoot day. It was just for peace of mind that if I needed specific things, I could just draw that from my notes. All right, so for a lot of my pre-production, I like to use Milanote. Milanote is just a really easy and streamlined way to visually organize everything. And so I had a couple references in terms of the angle, mood, and detail that I thought would be applicable for this shoot. The first one I pulled was just this Adidas video that had a lot of cool angles, and the model was very playful, and there was just a variety of different angles and movements that I thought would really go well with the 5 females that I was shooting for this video. It was just a nice playful video. The second one I had, I forgot what this was. I just had this in mind just in terms of like getting a combination of both wide shots, medium shots, and tight shots. This was more of just like a peace of mind thing of reminding myself the style of shots that I wanted. And this third one wasn't really super applicable in terms of the style. It again was just more in terms of the wide shots and the tight shots. This one I didn't really use much reference from. So what I like to do is go ahead and screen grab a couple different frames from these videos that I liked. For this video, just to give you an idea, this is a social piece and I just had 5 different talents. So the idea was to have 5 different transitions between each talent and have the video flow through these interactive transitions. That did not pan out exactly as I had planned, just because at the very last second, the morning of the shoot, the client was like, hey, maybe we don't want it too interactive-y. I guess something was lost in translation, but they basically wanted to like tone down the amount of interactiveness in the video. So I ended up shooting a couple different transitions, but most of it was like in-camera whip pans, as you'll see. So here we just wanted the interactive opening details right here in the very beginning. I think I ended up using this transition. This is actually a transition from my own videos. I ended up using this exact transition, but I just transitioned her hand in both scenes. I didn't use the spin holding camera. I didn't use the hand. This is a hand swipe transition. Didn't use this. I kind of used this around the shoulder later in the video, but not in the exact same way. And this is a video I shot for Bape a while back, and one of the transitions we did was this match cut transition between the 3 shoes. And my idea for this video was to do a match cut similar to this, but in terms of using all 5 talent in sort of like a rotational thing. I'll explain once we get there. So this is all I had for the pre-production. Super simple, super bare. A lot of times I'll do more pre-production than this, but just because like I had no idea going into the shoot, the time, like the realistic time frame I have with each person. I'm kind of just like go with the flow. So I knew I didn't have much time, so this is kind of like just mental notes of what I wanted. Okay, so I think the easiest way just is go through basically chronologically of how I shot this. Okay, so this intro was the match cut that I had at the very end of pre-production, and it was essentially I was gonna go and shoot all 5 of the models in the exact same pose. And basically what I did was I did just that. I shot these all in the same focal length. This was all shot, I believe, on the 10 mil on the gimbal. So for each talent, the first thing I did was went ahead and shot this specific shot just because I wanted to get all of my gimbal shots out of the way in the beginning so that everything else I could just do handheld or you know, just get my major gimbal shots out of the way. So basically I just did a match cut between the 5 different poses, and then in post, I actually sped this up and speed ramped it into the beginning of the video. So that's how I shot the intro and the ending. Super simple. As you can tell, like some of these aren't even super, you could even do this with like different poses or a different shot. It's just making sure that you shoot the same shot for each talent. I think I sped ramped into this initial shot. And again, this is on the 10 mil. We're just rotating around the talent here. And this is all shot inside of a really tight cafe. So this is one of the reasons why I decided to shoot 10 mil, just to make the cafe seem larger than life. I wanted some detailed shots of the shoe. So I went ahead with the 24 mil. After I finished my shots with the gimbal, I just did some handheld shots here of the 24 mil in the light. And I just made sure to expose for the light. This is all just handheld shots. Here's an example of something I do really often. It's after a movement, I like to whip the camera to either the right or left or up or down. This just gives you a good point in the edit to cut to or cut from. So I actually cut right as the camera whips right here. This is all handheld. This is on the 24 mil. Another just different detailed shot of the shoe. Again, another detailed shot. We wanted some props usage, so we decided to use like this lemonade that she was drinking. Again, if you just play this through, you can see that I do some whips, and I don't even think I use all of these shots or like cut them with the whip. It's nice to have them, and if you don't need them, then you don't need them, but it's nice to have that little cut sequence. So this is the first transition between the first talent to the second talent, and we did this kind of like hand grabbing the lens thing. So basically it's just a fancy match cut where as she grabs the camera, and let me just go ahead and show you like the whole clip so you can kind of just tell like how we do these things. So I basically started wide, came in, and she grabbed it. And I did this a couple times. And basically on the second part, if you notice, so she grabs the camera here, we actually cut to the second talent and she's letting go of the camera. And I actually added in post, I added a little, you can tell right here, a little hit preset. You can get these on basically anywhere. They're super easy, super readily available. It just gives a little camera shake right as she grabs it, kind of sells it a little bit more. And basically what she does, she just lets go of the camera here and I pull away. Again, this is the raw clip, and this is the second raw clip where she lets go. So we just started with her covering her hand and then letting go. And I don't think these are actually specifically like exactly correct. I think if you can notice the scale here, I actually went ahead and rescaled this because if I didn't, I believe they wouldn't have, see her hand was different in these 2 different shots. Notice her hand, her palms covering this bottom right third. The second one, she wasn't. So what I went ahead and did was I just started at about 150 scale and matched the two clips so that the match cut was a little bit more seamless. They don't have to be perfect, they just gotta be close enough. These are just handheld shots on the 10 mil, just getting some detailed shots of her. I like to backlight my subjects a lot, especially in harsh daylight situations. Basically what you do is you just expose for the face, and then you just kind of let the highlights kind of blow out in the background, and it gives this cool like lens flare look. It's something I use very often, and it's just an easy kind of trick to do. Again, this is on the 24 mil, I believe, but you can tell again that I backlit this and kind of just, I didn't use any reflectors or anything. This is all just sunlight. Getting some more detailed shots of the shoe. Very important that we get a lot of detailed shots of the actual product that's being advertised. Again, another detailed shot, just getting different angles. Here's another example of me whipping away. That's the full clip in its entirety. Notice that as you cut right at the whip, it looks like a really just cool transition that you can use. And I actually ended up whipping this transition into our next talent, as you can see in this next clip here. I knew in my mind that I probably would end up using kind of a continuation of a whip, so I just gave myself a couple different options. So I did the whip up into like an upper body, and I also did a whip into a full body. And then I ended up doing like a whip just into the shoes, just to give myself those options later in post in case I want to use like a different endpoint or different out point. So you notice here, I even did one where I exited in case the first one didn't work. There's even a whip down, a whip up. When I'm shooting, I like to just roll and get a lot of different variations of movement, and that kind of just helps cover your bases in the edit later. This was on the gimbal. This is just a simple 10 mil. I'm both walking backwards. She's walking with me. Nothing crazy about this shot, just to give you like another different dynamic angle. This one I'm walking towards her as she walks past me. And so I'm just slowly rotating towards her. Again, nothing crazy. Just playing around with different angles and different stuff as you go ahead and shoot. Here we got another different angle. Again, trying to get some detailed shots of the shoe. This is probably one of my favorite transitions from this video, and it's essentially the rotation around a shoulder reference. Let's just play this through real quick. I rotated around this like wall, and I cut the wall to like a bookcase in the next environment. And did I know this would work that smoothly? Probably not. I knew that as I was shooting this, I needed something kind of like almost like a wall element, and most places have like walls or things that you can set up. I could have even used like, let's say like the back of a book or a backpack or something. You just need something solid where you can match cut it as you rotate around somebody. This was shot on the gimbal, on the 10 mil, and this is the raw video, I believe. You're just trying to keep her central in the frame as you rotate around. And then in the second clip, as you can tell here, again, trying to keep her central. That's the whole key. And then just rotating around. And the thing to sell this is just, you add like a little speed ramp. As you can tell, you just speed ramp it ever so slightly. And it really sells the effect. It's a nice effect. Super easy to do too. This is the next environment. Again, we switch from the 10 mil to this is the 24 mil handheld. We're just getting some full body shots of the outfit. I believe this is on the gimbal maybe. We're just getting a couple different detailed shots. Just getting different movement, different dynamic movements. Again, of the shoes. This is on the 24 mil. Getting some angles through the bookcase. When you press for time, like you just trying to look for cool angles, different things that you can do. And here's the final transition. This is just a whip down and a continuation in the next location. This is all handheld, just whipping down. This is the full clip here. Just whipping down after I do like a slow push in, and in the second clip, I'm starting high and just whipping down to a full body. And then you're just cutting it between the two clips. It's, again, nothing crazy. So you notice here, I'm doing two different variations. I'm doing a full body whip down, and then you'll notice I get a little bit closer and I do a tight one, just in case one of those doesn't work. And I usually do like 2 of each. This is on the gimbal and the FPV mode, I think, on the 10 mil, just getting a couple different variations, a couple different angles. I actually didn't even use this clip, but I like this clip a lot. Just trying to get some dynamic movement, nothing crazy. Here we're just getting her play with the ping pong, something kind of playful, but easy to cut to. And I'm just moving around as she's doing that. Just have a shot of her hitting the ball. Again, a different angle. As you notice, I did a couple whips. I wasn't sure if I was going to cut to this clip or cut to the earlier clip, but it's just good to have some variation. And then finally, I needed a key like moment of her shoes. And so we decided just to have her kind of whip around this couch, land on the shoes, and then she would walk away. And again, if we play this through here, we've got the rotation, a whip cutting in. You got the hand transition here. Some details. You got a whip. Dynamic movement, details of the shoes. You got that cool transition to the 4th location, some details of the shoes. Whipping into the final location. Some fun, playful shots, details of the shoes. And we cut in the end to that rotational match cut, which I loop again to the beginning. Watching this back, there's a lot of stuff that I would have wished I had done or gotten instead, or even worked kind of like more specifically towards getting more details of the shoes. But realistically, when you think of the time frame and the constraints of everything, having 15 minutes at each location to shoot each talent and get everything I need and then move on as quickly as possible, you're not gonna get everything that you set out for. So based on that, I think overall, it was a really fun, playful video. And I think it really captured like the essence of these 5's outfits and kind of the shoes and the playful styling and the different locations. I think it basically set out and completed what we tried to do. In these sorts of shoots, I think the #1 thing is just your flexibility in terms of being at a location, kind of rearranging and figuring out maybe everything isn't quite as you had planned and adapting really quickly to get the best possible videos, the best possible images out of what you're basically given. As you can tell from this specific video, there are a couple transitions that I was able to pull off that I had in mind, but there's some that I didn't even get to. And there's some shots that I wish I would have gotten, some shots that I wish, you know, might have even been vital that I didn't get. But when you're constrained and you don't have a lot of support, maybe you're like a 1-person crew like I was for this shoot, there's only so much you can do. And just making sure that you relay that to your client, to the people that are on set. They were super understanding, communication was really good. They understood the time constraints and just getting enough footage so that you feel comfortable. In this particular case, I was working with a photographer. The photographer took a lot longer because that was a priority on the shoot and they wanted to take time for each image. It's your responsibility when you're on a shoot to understand the needs of the crew and figure out what's really possible, what's not possible, if I need to push for a longer time, if not, and just kind of understand what's realistic, what's not realistic, and basically just go with the flow. If you have any questions on this shoot in particular or anything in general, please leave them in the comments below. I appreciate you guys sticking to the very end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.